Today we are making a brown sugar cinnamon syrup with cinnamon from
Turkey.
Ooh, let's do it. All right, so we're gonna do what I think should be standard syrup method is the non-boil method. If I'm being 100% honest, I eyeball all my simple syrups.
Really?
I just judge, like, oh, that's roughly half of the amount I need. It's not really about as much about strength, it's more just dilution. So I just it doesn't need to be precise.
So the reason we went with dark brown sugar instead of light brown sugar is dark brown sugar is more molasses. So you're just gonna get more of a taste. If you're gonna make a brown sugar syrup, it makes sense to just have that flavor come through. And this cinnamon,
it's nuts.
Is nuts.
It's nuts.
It's like you could get, honestly, if you want some cinnamon that actually like tastes good. No, cinnamon, honestly, all cinnamon tastes good. It's good, whatever. But if you go to like any store that's like there'll be, usually every city has an Asian food market and like a spice store that's just tons of spices from India. Go there, go to a place, Indian market, their spices are on a whole nother level. I had a friend that was traveling and he was in a market, I think in Turkey, and he picked me up some amazing spices.
Is that legal? I can literally smell it from over here.
Yeah. Oh, it's
crazy.
It's wild. It smells so unique. It's almost like cinnamon dialed up to 11 with some other hints of.
It's got like something. A little bit of a nice darker note to it, like but in a nice way, like deep. It feels deep.
Yeah, that's and it's almost like lighter than normal. It's just really good. Oh yeah, if you're doing baking, get spices from anywhere but your supermarket.
Yeah, literally. What I like about this method of making syrups, and again, like with everything we do, it's a little controversial. People have different methods. Instead of like putting in a saucepan, boiling it, you really don't need to do that. Oh yeah, put some cinnamon in there, however much you want.
The tricky thing about cinnamon is it doesn't really like to incorporate into anything.
I know. With this recipe, this is kind of going to be a little bit of a recipe video. We honestly might need a little more brown sugar in there to have enough for latte. You can kind of do this to taste. If you want it a little bit more brown sugar, molassesy, do that. Just kind of get it to where you like it. I like it to be pretty cinnamon forward. I love cinnamon. It's like one of my favorite things. So, if that's what you want, do it super, super cinnamon heavy. Put a lot in there, or don't, just to taste.
There you go.
But again, like this method of making syrups, you're not cooking the sugar. Whereas the saucepan method, you're cooking the sugar and you're affecting the flavor. Whereas this method, it gets it just hot enough to dissolve the sugar and make it like a syrup, but it's not cooking it and changing the flavors. So for any kind of syrup that is like granular sugar, like I do this for regular simple syrups, for my brown sugar one that doesn't have like a steeping element. If you're doing like a ginger syrup, it's got to kind of steep in there.
Yeah.
I do it this method, where just hot enough to dissolve the sugar and don't cook it and caramelize. Like you don't want to caramelize the sugar.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah, just do that.
We're just gonna pour it right in, let it dissolve.
And it's so fast too. Like, and if you do it like this, you're really not dirtying. You're not dirtying a pan. You're not dirtying anything else. It's convenient. I do a smidge more. Again, this is where I eyeball this stuff. Like, especially if you're like in the process of making a drink, and you're like, oh, I'm out of syrup.
Yeah.
Like
the first time I saw this was by Brad from It's Alive with Brad.
We're just gonna throw this on and shake it. Is that a good idea or bad idea?
It's not. It might be.
Just like that. Not like shake. Just a little agitation.
It's just convenient. You realize
It's so convenient.
You see some simple syrup recipes, and they're like, you have it on a pan for a long time. You got to constantly stir it.
Cool.
Boom. Simple syrup.
Done.
Honestly, if the brown sugar, if we had a bigger funnel, this would have taken a couple of seconds.
Oh, yeah. It would have been even faster.
Yeah, it's literally, that's ready to go syrup. Always be careful with hot liquids.
Yep. All right. I'm going to pull espresso.
Yeah.
We're going to make a breve with this. It's so, like, this is my favorite drink to make, is brown sugar cinnamon syrup. And then I do breves half and half. So it's not like super heavy cream. It not just heavy cream. Like, that's too much. But like half and half is just enough where it just gets a nice extra sweetness, extra foam to it. And like this syrup is so nice because it doesn't stand out from the coffee. It kind of lifts it up. And it's basically the filling to a cinnamon roll. So why wouldn't you want that, you know? Espresso is done. This is half and half again. And I usually do like a cortado amount. So not like a full latte. That's just kind of the vibe I like. It's a little extra foamy, a little extra steamy. I do a half ounce in each, since they'll be kind of half.
Half ounce in each.
Yeah.
I'd make sure like you agitate it. The cinnamon kind of can settle a little bit. I love breves. Not typically, to be honest, a latte person.
Yeah.
But anytime I bake, if you make any dessert and switch out like milk with half and half, it's just gonna make it better. It's so delicious.
This has a little extra foam too. It's just a little. It's so rich and delicious.
It's kind of like the most polar opposite to a milk alternative.
Oh yeah.
It's like you can't do
it. Really is.
You can't.
It really is.
If you're just doing milk alternatives all day, treat yourself. Do a breve.
All right, we're gonna do half cortados here, so it's kind of a weird, but just so we both have one. This is like a rare video for us that's not experimental. This is like more of an actual recipe video.
Also, lattes in glass cups.
I love it.
It's so nice.
It's my go-to. I feel like my ratios are not going to be exact here. I'm going to give you a little bit of foam. I'm going to give me a little more foam.
There we go.
Cool. I'm good with that. All right. A brown sugar cinnamon breve cortado with cinnamon from Turkey. That is a mouthful, but
so is this latte. Oh my God.
That's so good. That's so much better than the cinnamon.
I've had so many bad lattes on this show.
Yeah.
Like, this is so weird.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's an actual drink. Like, normal cinnamon is fine. You don't need cinnamon from Turkey, but dang, that is so good.
Wow. That like brings me back. That is so good.
It literally tastes like the inside of a cinnamon roll or the inside of like a brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart. That's honestly where like the idea came from. You probably already have brown sugar at home or in your coffee shop. Just make a syrup with it.
And this is what's cool.
And cinnamon.
Is if your brown sugar, like I always forget about brown sugar. You rarely use it. You use it once a time. You buy it for something and then it goes like just stale. Boom, you make it into a syrup.
Water.
Yeah.
You're good.
You're good. You don't need fresh brown sugar for this. Oh
That's
my
so good.
goodness.
It's so like creamy and rich, but not too much. Like the coffee still finds its way in there.
Gosh, that's so good. So I was like a senior in high school. There's this really, really cool coffee shop an hour and a half away. And it was like there's no good coffee shops around where I grew up. But there's this one place, and I remember driving and sitting down, vibey. Everyone looked cool. I wore my favorite sweater, and I ordered a latte, and they had cafe miel, which is cinnamon and honey. And they used like not normal, like not cheap milk. They were like premium. And it like reminds, like drinking it just brings me back to that of like, oh, this is so, I'm starting to think they used half and half. Because I'm like, this is so good. If you're drinking lattes every day, cut it down to half, drink them every other day, and switch to half and half.
Yeah. And the nice thing, which is honestly why I usually do like a cortado with half and half, is it's not like a 12-ounce latte. So you're drinking maybe 4 ounces of half and half, 4 to 6, depending on how I'm feeling. So it's already way less than a full.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I would, if I was a coffee shop, serve a breve in anything more than a cortado. And yeah, you just reminded me.
16 ounces of breve.
God, you just reminded me, it needs that cinnamon garnish. It needs that sprinkle of cinnamon on there.
I'm like trying to figure out the best way to powder this on.
You might just have to pinch it.
It's honestly like,
oh yeah,
like the consistency of like powdered sugar, which I guess like sometimes your cinnamon at home might be, but this stuff is okay. This is what's sweet is if you get some really nice, like really, really nice cinnamon. Honestly, I would almost go, if you got nice cinnamon and you're at the spice shop, get like a really, really nice cayenne. Because like you get like some nice cayennes, they have no flavor really, but they're just like a nice burn.
Yeah.
I would almost do like a 20-1. Like just so it's like a tiny hint, something warm. In this fall, maybe not the summer, but like this stuff, if you just put cinnamon on top, it'll be good. This stuff though is so nice on the nose.
Oh, that's so good. But see, like this is like a little bit back to what I'm saying. Like it's sweet, obviously, and there is flavor there, but it's not, it highlights the coffee so well. Like the brown sugar and the cinnamon. Instead of like fighting against it, it's melding together and lifting everything up.
I'm not like I do not like sweet drinks typically. I'm not like a mocha. I like don't like a lot of flavors. And I don't even like lattes straight because usually like the milk, I don't know why the milk always tastes like a little thin, maybe is a good way to put it. Like it doesn't have a ton of flavor. It's not like, it doesn't say full bodied. Like it's just like,
no, totally.
I don't know. It's like thin when you heat it up and you add espresso, but this tastes so like thick.
It's
like the extra fat like coats your tongue. It's like the mouth feel, if you will. This is like the perfect latte. It's like just sweet enough.
I found it's half ounce between both of us because we split it. But like 1 ounce is the perfect syrup amount.
1 ounce.
Cortado, latte, big latte, like 1 ounce is like right on the money. Sometimes I'll do 3/4 if I'm doing a cortado if I don't want it as sweet. But like again, this syrup, it's not going to be overly sweet anyways. So.
And there's different, like if you search simple syrups, there are like different like categories.
Yeah.
Like you have a simple syrup 1-1. And then is it a rich simple syrup? It's like 2-1.
2-1, yeah.
So it's like you have 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. And it helps it be like a little more thick. And I bet you could do maybe a little more brown sugar than a 1-1 just because you want that like dark brown sugar flavor.
Yeah. It almost has like and I think it's highlighting with the coffee of like a toastedness. Yeah. And I think that's like, it's highlighting the coffee. But that molassesy brown sugar, it's got that like toasty back end flavor note that's kind of melding beautifully together.
Okay, so simple, hot water. You're ready to go in like under 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
You're ready to go. I would also, if you wanted to bouge it up, I would almost melt the brown sugar in a saucepan, darken it a little bit.
Yeah, I thought about that. Butter. Don't spoil future episodes, Dave.
Now you're really getting into the cinnamon roll. No, that is like the perfect, like this tastes like you would want a subtle cinnamon roll. It's like that fill, like you were saying, it's like the filling of a Pop-Tart. It's not overpowering where you're like drinking cinnamon roll milk, but.
But in a lot of ways, it is kind of like a cinnamon roll if you
Yeah.
think about it. Like it's got brown sugar, cinnamon filling. You've got the cream cheese frosting, I guess.
Yeah.
But you've still got.
You're right.
But you've still got, the heavy cream half and half. It's in that cream arena. It's just delicious.
It's delicious. If you're used to a cafe miel, I feel like this is like when people do stuff that are like, this is the elevated version of whatever. If you're used to a cafe miel, you should definitely do this because it's like everything a cafe miel is, only better.
And it's also a little bit more subtle than a cafe miel. Like sometimes I have a cafe miel and I'm like, oh, honey's kind of a strong flavor. Like I don't think of honey as being like this punch you in the face flavor. But every once in a while I have a meal and I'm like, oh, this is very honey forward. Not in a bad way, but this is kind of the similar arena of a latte.
It has a cortado. Just like all general. This is the perfect drink.
It's my go-to. It's my go-to. That's what I always make.
Can be your go-to too.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.